We've been checking in across New England on how conditions are, and Pete Bouchard is here with us now. And Pete, it really does feel like conditions are deteriorating as just in the last half hour, which is what you've been talking about. As it gets colder tonight, things are going to get sloppier.
Yes, exactly. And, sleet, it's kind of tossed aside as some ice pellets, but actually it can accumulate. And I'm seeing this more of a sleet storm than I am a snowstorm, at least in the Commonwealth. Southern New Hampshire may be different, but you can see how vast this storm is. It goes all the way out through Chicago, back to Minneapolis, really, and then all the way almost to Maine. And it's a mighty one in terms of precipitation, too. Very efficient at making the precip. Some important notes that we're seeing here. Elevation is key for your snowfall accumulation and some sleet, too. Higher up you are, the better your chances for seeing higher amounts. Mid-level warming is happening right around 7,000 to 8,000 feet. There's a warm layer of air. It ruins the snowflake. It creates a ball of ice, what we call sleet. And that is really becoming more of a player here as we go through the night and into tomorrow. In some cases, it will accumulate inches of sleet, which makes for slippery travel. And it's not as great as snow, obviously. I'm trying to make a snow person or a snowball. Daytime accumulation is tough this time of year. The sun angle is a player, believe it or not, even on a cloudy day. And once the precipitation lets up tomorrow after the morning hours, it becomes almost negligible. Accumulation is very difficult, and then you really need a very robust storm. And at that point, it's weakening through the afternoon. So the big event is unfolding now. It goes through the night and into early tomorrow morning, too. Long duration in that sense. Heavy rain starting to move into the picture. You can see it. Darker shadings of green and some yellow and orange. These were thunderstorms that came through Bridgeport, Connecticut. They're fading out a little bit, but still maybe some rumbles all the way to Hartford. What this is telling us is there's a tremendous amount of lift in the atmosphere right near that storm center. So when it crosses over the canal later tonight, that's when we'll start to see that intense rain start moving in. Your surrounding communities and cities and towns, regionally, we have no cold air, but the storm can make some of its own to drop the temperatures near the surface. It's not really going to help in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. It's the track of the storm that is ruining that part of the sleet and making it warm in that layer of the atmosphere about 7,000 to 8,000 feet up. Anyway, here's the heavy rain. Watch the blues start to come into Lawrence and then even dip down closer to Boston. As that happens, we'll switch over, and even into the city we could switch over, Metro West too. But this is 4:30 in the morning. We're at the tail end of the storm, and some of this blue may actually be sleet, honestly. So the model's having a hard time distinguishing between the colors and the type of precip. And then by 1 o'clock, it's just leftovers and maybe even some flakes in there, but none of it accumulating. Temperatures will hold in the upper 30s tomorrow. So here we go with our up to an inch now, closer to Woburn and Wakefield, Danvers, all the way up to Rowley, Middleton, Lawrence to Billerica, Bedford, Acton, and Marlborough. We'll see up to an inch. That means half inch, quarter inch. Some of that is sleet. In fact, most of it is. And then Dracut to Plastow, Seabrook, 1 to 3. Groton as well. Sterling right on the edge of that 3 to 5. And better chance for that in northern Worcester County and Fitchburg and Lunenburg, Leominster. 5 to 8 farther north towards New Hampshire. And you can see the winds coming in out of the east, again, flooding the lowest levels of the atmosphere and near ground level with mild air. The wind shift tomorrow morning is key, coming from the northeast instead of due east. But that easterly wind is what's really bothersome tonight and early tomorrow morning. 45 to 55 in gusts, Gloucester, Portsmouth, Boston, Scituate, Marshfield, Plymouth, and on out through Wellfleet and Chatham. Elsewhere between 40 and 45, Metro West up through the Merrimack Valley, and then farther back you go west, it's more 30 to 40 miles an hour. This may be enough for some isolated power outages, too. That drop in the gust timeline shows us that the winds are not letting up, but significantly reduced by the afternoon on Thursday. And because of that easterly wind pushing water against the coastline, our fate is sealed for minor to moderate coastal flooding all the way from the seacoast to Cape Ann, Boston, South Shore, and Cape Cod, right around Sandwich. And also Edgartown, more like moderate coastal flooding Thursday morning, high tide there. High temperature tomorrow in Boston, at least 43. Lynn is 40. Elsewhere, upper 30s, best we can do. But some of that, by the way, is that sun trying to get through, bouncing the temperature out of the low 30s in the morning, back up into the mid and upper 30s in the afternoon. And then Friday, it's just a lot of cloud cover. It does not look like a lot of precip on that day, ironically. A better chance on Saturday. But these are passing brief showers. This is not a washed out day. And then the same on Sunday, a chance, and then after that we dry out. But the big shift is between Sunday and Monday when we go right into the mild air for the eclipse, and that is a great forecast. Next week, too, in the 60s away from the coast, Tuesday and Wednesday, otherwise sea breezes in Boston. We're back after the break.